Seemed like Mike Ditka wasn't all that excited about it, though. Win's a win.
Well, nobody was. It was kind of a yawner, wasn't it, the second half? But you're right.
Yeah.
We don't care, do we?
That's right.
It's like a shift at the steelworks is what it was. A working man's win for the Bears in Pittsburgh today. Adequate offense and superior defense add up to a 20-0 win for Chicago, and they keep up for the Vikings in the NFC Central. An interception on the Steelers' first play from scrimmage set up this Bears touchdown. Neil Anderson ran it into the right side from short range, and the Bears had a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Kevin Butler, 2 more field goals today to run his string to 22 in a row. And Jim Harbaugh hit Brad Muster here with a short pass that turned into a touchdown late in the second period. And the Bears took a 20-0 lead at halftime. That was all defense then in the second half. Lemuel Stinson stopped the Steelers cold here with an interception in the end zone, his second of the afternoon. And the Bears win the game 20-0. Much more on the Bears win coming up later on Instant Replay. The Blackhawks, meanwhile, are going for their 14th win in 21 games tonight at the stadium. Hartford's in town, and the Hawks got the scoring started in the first period. The Dog, Dwayne Sutter, scored on his own rebound to make it 1-0 in the first. Hartford would come back to take a 2-1 lead, but the Hawks then evened things up with only 2 seconds left in the first period. Adam Creighton. You wouldn't exactly call Pittsburgh's performance against the Bears a heads-up effort, but the Steelers' mistakes aside, Chicago's defense may have played its best game of the 1989 season. 3 interceptions and 3 fumble recoveries paved the way to a 20-0 Bears win. We'll have all the highlights. Also tonight, the Blackhawks are after their 14th win in 21 games this season, hosting Hartford at Chicago Stadium. Those stories and more coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
Instant Replay, Chicago's first complete look at today's sports action. Participating advertisers are your local Ford dealer, quality people, quality products, and your Toyota dealer in the 1990 Toyota Camry. Toyota, I love what you do for me.
Good evening and welcome to Instant Replay. This was the week when Iron Mike took his team to Steel Country. Mike Ditka back to his Pennsylvania roots to challenge the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bears hadn't won here in 44 years, but that streak is over tonight. It was back to the basics for the Bears, which means defense and running the football. That's what they did today in a 20-0 win over the Steelers. Mike Tomczak's with us, as always. A pretty good game today, wouldn't you say? Not the most exciting of football games, but a win is a win, and you guys sure needed one today.
I think you're exactly right. A win's a win, and it wasn't pretty. You know, I asked you when we came in if the game was boring on TV as much as it seemed at the stadium, and it was. But,
yes, it was.
Our defense played well. We got 6 turnovers, 1 in the kicking game and 5 defensively, and we turned the ball over 4 times offensively. But you know, those things happen. It was a great victory for us. We shut them out, and like Coach Ditka told us beginning of the week, this is our 2nd season. If we go 7-0, we're in the playoffs, and that's when it really counts.
Yeah, first shutout in a long time. It's been a long time since the defense has really shut down an opponent like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys were congratulating Vince Tobin in the locker room today after the game, saying, hey, this is a great shutout, the first one you had all year. Let's make it contagious and do it week in and week out. And the defensive players are playing with a lot of confidence. But I'll be honest with you, Pittsburgh's not a great ball club, and you know, we didn't play great football, but we still won the game 20-0.
Yeah, they're not great. They're the worst team in the league in offense. They're 28th and last as far as offensive output's concerned. Anyway, though, let's roll the tape, take a look at what did happen out there today. Bubby Brister, their Pittsburgh's quarterback, had gone 179 consecutive throws without an interception. This is his first one today, and guess what?
Hey.
Lemuel Stinson.
He played well today, Lemuel. He got burnt one time, but he made up for it down to the goal line. I think we're going to see her later on.
Yeah, we will. He was replacing Donnell Wolford, who was in that auto accident Tuesday and had a staph infection and couldn't play. So a big one by Stinson right there, who got a little handshake from the coach on the sideline. That's always nice. And Jim Harbaugh, quarterback again this week, did a lot of running in the first half.
He's acquired the nickname around the locker room and playing field as a running man. And every time he takes off in practice, we give it to him.
Here's a pretty good running man, too. Neil Anderson, who didn't have a big day numbers-wise, 64 yards, but he's always there when he has to be. And it's 7-0 Bears at 8:59. It's going to be a long day for Chuck Knoll. Maury Buford, again, did a good job punting. This is Pittsburgh pinned way back on the 6th. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
Sure is.
Bill made a catch or two today, but that didn't work out very well. And a big sack by William Perry, who had his best game of the year today, Mike.
I think he had 2 sacks. I think he accounted for 2 sacks today. And he's playing an inspired ball. Coach Ditka has challenged him all week long to start playing well.
These guys smell blood down by the goal line, and Dave Duerson all over Rodney Carter, the 1. That set up the Bears with great field position. Here's Butler's first field goal. Good hold by you here.
Hey,
Had to go up to get it. This is 21 in a row for Kevin. Jerry Fontenot doing the snapping because Jay Hilgenberg was out with a knee sprain.
Right. Kevin Butler and Maury Buford, like you said, are playing good football right now, and they're both kicking the ball extremely well.
Now, this is the first play after the kickoff. Steve McMichael.
I'd say our defensive line played extremely well today. Either that or the offensive line wasn't much to talk about on Pittsburgh's side.
Now, those guys have been injured as much as your defensive line has, so that was part of their problem. Here's the touchdown pass from Harbaugh to Muster, who could have crawled in, I think. That's the second touchdown by a Michigan quarterback in NFL history for the record.
Is that right?
Yeah, we'll have to tell Jim about that tomorrow. The second touchdown pass.
I'll get a Buckeye back in there. He'll throw more.
That's right. Well, here's the ensuing kickoff. Rod Woodson coughed it up. Actually, Maurice Douglas just took it right out of his hand, so the Bears get the ball right back, and it was turnover city out there. And here's Kevin again.
Mr. Automatic.
That's 22, the NFL record 23 by Mark Mosley, and Ditka pretty thrilled about that one. Kevin surely will get a chance to break that next week against Tampa Bay. Well, there wasn't much more to talk about, was there, in the second half? No more points scored, just a lot more good defense by the Bears. Here's the Fridge. He's looking pretty quick today, you know.
He sure was. He sure was. You know, I don't know. When you score 20 points in the first half, hopefully you're not going to... Well, that was a good play by Lemieux right there, but hopefully you're not going to see a letdown, you know, either offensively or defensively. And I don't think we played extremely well in the second half, but Niels, he ran hard there. I got a chance to get the rust out of my armor and go out there and play a little bit today.
Yeah, we saw you trying to shake a couple of guys loose downtown. I mean, you go in there for a couple of series, you might as well jack it up, huh?
I had a guy man-to-man coverage on Wendell Davis, and I said, hey, what the heck? And I had a lot of rust in my shoulder pads for the last couple of weeks, but I wanted to air it out a little bit.
Well, you'll get your chance. We know you will. So Tampa Bay next week.
Tampa Bay.
Revenge time, huh?
Yeah, I believe it is. You know, they beat us down there pretty surprisingly, and I think everyone's going to work hard this week. We're minus Jay Hilgenberg right now. I think Wendell Davis a little banged up, but I think come Sunday those guys are going to get pretty healthy because we owe Tampa Bay something pretty incredible for what they did to us down there.
Okay, don't go away. Before we get to Tampa Bay, we want to talk a little bit more about the game today. As we said, not the most artistic of victories, but it doesn't make it any less important. Sid Garcia has more in this post-game report from Pittsburgh.
I think it's safe to say the Steelers didn't really have their heads in this one. They seemed lost. On the Bears' first possession, quarterback Jim Harbaugh was the setup man for the team's first score. Some nice runs for big gains have the Bears sitting pretty with first and goal on the 3. On second and goal, Neil Anderson went in for the score, 7-0 Bears.
I really don't worry about the statistics or anything like that, and if I have to throw a ball away, then I will, but rather than throw the ball away sometimes, if the run's there, then I want to take it and just move the chains, because that's all I'm really concerned about when I'm out there is trying to get the first downs.
Kevin Butler kept his consecutive field goal streak alive. He booted a couple to extend his streak to 22 straight, one shy of tying the record.
In the back of your mind, you think about the streak, of course, but, you know, I'm just trying to go out there and make everyone I kick. Again, I haven't had a whole lot of opportunities this year, and when we get out there, they seem to matter. So today, the 2 field goals definitely helped us, and it counted, and that's a lot more satisfaction than the record to me.
What more could you ask for from the defense? They got to the quarterback and created turnovers.
You know, I had a good game, and, I just made some things happen, and, things happen, force-wise, like my Michael and Dent and Trace Armstrong, everybody, contributed and played together.
Yeah, it's a pretty good day. I'm pretty much happy with I think I could have stayed and done a little bit more. I got beat on a couple of plays that I didn't want to, but it's all right.
Well, we made some turnovers, and that was the difference in the football. Really, the turnovers are the only difference. I mean, not that they played that bad or we played better than them even. It's just that turnovers make a difference, and we had more than they had, and we had them at the critical times, and we capitalized, and they didn't. That's about the difference.
The Bears needed this one. With Minnesota winning, the Bears still trail the Central Division leading Vikings by 1 game. In Pittsburgh, I'm Sid Garcia, WGN News.
Well, Coach seemed pretty laid back. Can we read anything from that?
I think he's a little disappointed because he still realizes that we haven't played great football offensively and defensively. Even though defense shut him out today, Coach Ditka feels that our offense is far more capable of what we did today. And he's a little frustrated with some players, but all in all, he knows that we have a long road ahead of us, and he wants us to get to that final destination. That's New Orleans.
Okay, we'll turn it up next week at home against Tampa Bay.
Got to.
Okay, Mike, thank you. Coming up, the rest of the day in the National Football League, which includes a fabulous finish in Phoenix, an inspired performance by the Lions at the Silverdome, And most importantly to the Bears, another victory by the Vikings. Minnesota did it with defense today, and we'll show you the highlights coming up.
Before I bought my Toyota Camry, I really did my research. I rented a different car every weekend, and I test drove each one.
He drove by in a different car every week.
Every weekend, a new car, never satisfied.
Camry was
holiday gift of perfume, Esprit body lotion, and powdered bath oil with any Oscar de la Renta purchase. Available at Carson Peary Scott.
Well, the Bears win in Pittsburgh today kept them right where they were when the day began, still a game behind the Vikings, but alone in second place rather than tied with the Packers. Green Bay apparently left it on the field last week against the Bears. Minnesota bowled its way to a 24-10 win over Tampa Bay. The Packers couldn't quite make it back today after falling way behind Detroit at the Silverdome. In the Viking game, Tampa Bay got off to a terrible start. It was 3-0 when Bruce Hill caught a pass, and then was a 28-yard stroll into the end zone for Reggie, and a 10-0 lead for the Vikings. They weren't bad on offense today either. In the second period, Wade Wilson to Steve Jordan for a short touchdown to make it 17-0. It was 17-3 at halftime. But Minnesota's defense was the difference today. They sacked Vinny Testaverde 7 times. Keith Millard about killed him there. And the Vikings stay a game ahead of the Bears, 24-10 against the Buccaneers. As for the Packers, they just got too far behind to make another one of those Don Majkowski rallies. Detroit out to a 10-0 lead here. Nice move by Richard Johnson for the score. Majkowski put it up 59 times today, but too often they landed in the hands of somebody wearing the wrong color shirt. This is Jerry Holmes all the way back for the score. It was 24-3 at halftime. The Lions were headed for their second win of the year. Green Bay did close to 24-20 in the fourth, but a fumble killed a possible go-ahead drive, and Detroit won it by 9, 31-22. Elsewhere, the Rams broke out of their slump in a big way against the Giants, only New York's second loss of the year. Washington rises up and beats Philadelphia 10-3, and also in the East, it was Phoenix over Dallas 24-20. In that Rams game, Jim Everett was on fire. Late in the second quarter, he saw Aaron Cox all by himself up the left sideline. The safety had fallen down. Cox walked in for a 51-yard touchdown, and that is worth a big kiss from Rams owner Georgia Frontiere. If she'd done that after all the touchdowns today, she'd have sprained lips by tonight. This is the ensuing kickoff. Dave Meggett fumbled the ball, picked it up, broke into the clear, and fumbled it again. George Bethune recovered at the Giants' 21, and it took Everett one play from there. He completed 18 in a row at one point today, right on the button to Flipper Anderson for the touchdown, and the Rams roll past the Giants 31-10. In Phoenix, the Cowboys trailing 17-13 in the final 2 minutes. Troy Aikman was absolutely blasted on this play, but he threw it right on the numbers of James Dixon. He ran by the safety and took it 75 yards for the touchdown. The Cowboys take the lead 20-17. Could they make it 2 in a row? Nah. Talk about beating the safety, man. Tom Tupa throwing deep right to Ernie Jones. The safety got there late and with a bad angle. Jones jogged in 72 yards to win the game for the Cardinals, 24-20. Cowboys 1-9 for the year, and Phoenix is 5-5. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice teamed up to knock some of the strut out of Deion Sanders, 45-3. And in that New Orleans victory, Dalton Hilliard ran for 106 yards and a couple of touchdowns. At Candlestick, 49ers looked all but unbeatable against Atlanta. This is Montana, and this is Jerry Rice. Cut it back across the field, 39 yards. He beat everybody. He'll survive a headshot by Deion Sanders at the end of this and put the Niners on top 14-3. It was 28-3 at halftime. Third period now, Montana to Rice with Sanders in single coverage, and that's 6 more. San Francisco won it 45-3. AFC games this afternoon. Buffalo just about knocked the Colts out of the Eastern Division picture, and Miami put on a huge comeback to stay alive in that division. The Jets with new quarterback Tony Eason still on the inactive list, but maybe not for long. And speaking of long, how about the field goal by Miami's Pete Stoyanovich? The NFL record 63 yards, this one 59, and it's good by about a foot. 59-yard field goal, Pete Stoyanovich. But Miami was down 20-3 until Dan Marino cranked it up. 78 yards to Mark Clayton here. They got 3 unanswered TDs in the third quarter. Miami wins it 31-23. Denver got a last-second field goal, beat the Chiefs. It was Cleveland winning in the Kingdome 17-7. And tonight, Jim McMahon and the Chargers are out to cool off the Raiders in San Diego. You know, McMahon's got that new hotline. Now they have live Jim McMahon dolls. This is the newest thing in sports marketing. It was 12-0 on. Kicked it off to Anthony Miller in the third period. And that was a mistake because Miller took it back 91 yards for the touchdown. Right up the right sideline he went. Miller time in San Diego, and now in the fourth, the Raiders still holding on by a score of 12-7. And coming up on instant replay, the finals of Chicago's Virginia Slims tennis tournament. We'll have the winner from out at the UIC Pavilion. And we'll have highlights from the stadium. The Blackhawks trying to pad their league-leading point total at home tonight against Hartford.
For me, Toyota.
Well, the Blackhawks are back in town after winning on Long Island last night. At the stadium, they're up against the Hartford Whalers, trying to win their 7th in a row on home ice. They're off to a terrific start with the best record in the National Hockey League, and they were off to a terrific start tonight when in the first period, Dwayne Sutter cleaned up in front of the net. He beat Mike Liute for the score that made it 1-0. Now, Hartford came back with 2 straight, but with 2 seconds left in the period, the Hawks caught up. Adam Creighton just kind of scooped it up over Liute, and it was 2-2 after 20 minutes. Then, early in the second, the Hawks go back in front on a goal by Steve Larmer, another one from close range. It was 3-2 right there. It was 3-2 after 2, and now in the third, it's still 3-2. Chicago leading Hartford at the Chicago Stadium. Other scores tonight, Minnesota with a big lead over Toronto in the third. Winnipeg has defeated Calgary by a score of 3-2. In New York, it was the Rangers over the Islanders 4-2. New Jersey and Philadelphia skate to a 3-all tie, and Buffalo beat Edmonton by a score of 6-5. And the championship match in the Chicago-Virginia Slims was a good one this afternoon. Number 2 seed Zina Garrison in far court against Larisa Savchenko. Garrison won the first set, Savchenko the second. This is action from the third set, fast action at the net, and Garrison blocks it back into the open court to win the point. She went out to a 5-4 lead. She was serving for the match right here. Savchenko is going to get out of position. You'll see Garrison wind up for the... She almost whiffed it. The ball fell in, though, and Garrison won the Slims. 6-3, 2-6, and 6-4 today at the UIC Pavilion. And that'll just about do it for us tonight on Instant Replay. Tomorrow on the 9 o'clock news, we'll check in with Mike Ditka for his post-film session comments, and we'll see you again next Sunday night right here on Instant Replay.
Participating advertisers of Instant Replay were Quality Products and your Toyota dealer and the 1990 Toyota Camry. Toyota, I love what you do for me.